on a regular Facebook page. Because I think when I did it, either the lighting was not that good, so it didn't come out right. But I'm doing this again so that at least I know that this is very important. The reason why is that a lot of women who are going through domestic violence, they don't realize the importance of counseling. And I want to stress this so much. That's why I'm repeating this video, and I will say it over again. I will say it over again. I will do it this video 20 times so that if somebody sees this video, they can help somebody else. They can help somebody else, direct them the right way, because a lot of times we try to resolve these domestic violence issues, and sometimes we don't know how that person, what she's gone through. So sometimes when we advise people to do something, we have to understand that there's underlying issues that we don't know that may actually jeopardize the whole case. So I always advise people to go for counseling. And the reason, and one of the, I'm gonna remember, and I'm just going to go over the what domestic violence is just shortly, so that at least when I talk about the counseling and why it's important, you will know. Domestic violence, the verbal abuse is like criticizing, humiliating you, name calling, and playing mind games, and all that. Indirect abuse is like making a partner feel scared by giving bad looks, abusing family pets, yelling, or making gestures that mimic violence. Creating fear, using threats to keep a partner in control. Examples of threats include physical violence, suicide, uh, I'll kill myself if you leave me. You know that there are people who do that, and you have to take those kind of things seriously. If your partner says, "I'll kill myself if you leave me," that is not love. That is domestic violence right there. That means he's trying to use that to control you, and he might do it, because I know somebody who did it. Who actually killed himself. Because the wife was thinking was gonna she was thinking the wife might leave him. So using they use threats to control you. They create fear. Using children, they threaten to take the children away, and a lot of people go through that. Gaslighting, that means insisting that abuse didn't happen. you know a lot of people, a lot of women who go through domestic abuse, their partner says things like, "I don't know, that didn't happen," and playing mind games with the children. They use the children to control you. Acting jealous when a partner leaves the house, where they ask you where you've been, you can't go anywhere without permission. Financial abuse, like stopping a partner from getting a job. So, like controlling money, refusing to help out financial or provide for family needs. That was very fast. But those are examples of domestic abuse. So if you know you're going through domestic abuse, you might call the national hotline for domestic abuse. Here in Waco, I think it's family abuse. You can call the number and try and get help. But if you call the national hotline for domestic abuse, and let me get that number, because I keep saying that and I never get the number. National hotline for domestic abuse. Let me get you the number. Okay, that number it's 1-800 799 7233. If you are in any state in America, you can call the national hotline for domestic abuse to get help. They will direct you, they will find you resource in your area. Keep that number for emergency. Send that number to somebody you think you can't help and you think somebody else needs to talk to them. Please make sure you do that. And that's part of the reasons why I do these videos. And then another thing, so that was just so. Why is counseling? Let me see. So why is counseling important? Why is counseling important to me? And also, domestic violence is something that impacts mental health. Remember, a woman who is going through, a victim who is going through domestic violence, it impacts the mental health because they are told they're ugly, they are told they will amount to nothing, they are isolated. So this, it impacts their mental health. You find that, excuse me, I have allergies, so excuse me. Hold on one second. Sorry, my, my nose was kind of itching. But anyway, it impacts the mental health. So you need counseling, and for me, domestic, it's important to go for counseling, especially if you don't know how to help that person, because you may tell the person to leave, yet that person has other issues. She's already frustrated, she's already reached the end of the rope. She may not have told you the details of the abuse. So if you do not direct them to counseling, you might she might leave and harm herself, or she might leave and be in a situation that puts her in a very bad place. So it is always important to kind of direct them, even though you're trying to get them out of you try and get them out of the situation. If they can't, then direct them to counseling. The reason why it's also important to direct them to counseling is that the counselors are able to see, to help them be confidential, without, to help them out. So anyway, domestic survivors are at risk of developing post-traumatic. That's one of the reasons. They're at risk of developing post traumatic stress disorder, substance abuse, or stress related mental health conditions. Survivors can have upsetting memories of flashbacks, fear of sense of danger that they cannot overcome. They may feel numb or disconnected from the rest of the world. That's why it's important to kind of direct them to have counseling. Me myself, I would advise you to seek counseling, even if you're not ready to leave. What counseling will do for you is this: counseling will help you learn to stay there and be sane. That means learn to say no to some of the things that are going on in your life. Let's say you're being abused, and to you that is normal. Counseling will help you sort it out, sort your mind out, why you are taking abuse, why you are allowing this thing to happen. Counseling will help you either stay in the marriage, because you're stronger and you know more and you're able to take care of yourself, or counseling will help you leave. Counseling will help you decide that, you know what, I can't take this, because who knows better how much abuse they're going through. You can tell somebody, but they say if the shoe hurts you, you know more about how much the shoe hurts you. So counseling will help you sort out your doubts, because remember, we come from a culture whereby some of the things that are made, that are known to be abuse, to you may not be abuse. Some of the things that everybody knows that's abuse, to you that may not be abuse, but you're suffering in silence. You're thinking, my husband beats me, slapped me, he just slapped me once, or he didn't. I have women who say, he didn't hit me. But do you know that emotional abuse is worse than physical? For real. Emotional abuse takes from you. It changes your personality. It hurts. It really, really, really does hurt. So it is important for you to seek counseling, because emotional abuse will hurt you. Emotional abuse will play with your mental health. So another reason why it is important to seek counseling is that counselors are non-judgmental third-party advisors who listen and can help survivors work through the things that they're experiencing. So you're isolated, you don't have friends, you live in a state whereby, in a city whereby you don't know anybody, your abuse is making sure you don't have family, and you may have family. Some of us, or some of you, you can have family, but you can be lonely. You can have family, but you can't tell them exactly what you're going through for fear of being judged. So you need a friend, you need somebody who can talk to you, who you can talk to, who you can tell these things that you're going through to help you sort it out. So it is important to go for counseling even if you're still in the abuse. And I'll tell you later at the end of the video how you can get free counseling, and just direct you on how you can get that. So counseling will help you sort your mind out. And I advise women who are going through domestic abuse, the first thing I really, really help them do is get counseling. The reason why I help them get counseling is because there's some things they may not even be able to tell me. One of the ladies I helped a month ago, I didn't know the extent of her abuse. She had told me she was being abused. I even helped her find a place, and she's getting help. But I didn't know the extent of the abuse. It was horrible. I only found out later after now she had started counseling, and she was able to tell me. So a counselor will give you that room to talk about it. Counselors won't force you to say whatever you want, whatever you don't want to say. They won't tell. They just tell you. They just there to listen. And then if there's something, they can kind of help you sort it out, and give you tell you maybe about red flags or things like that. Me, I know that when I went for counseling, at first I was resisting counseling, but I was forced to go to counseling since I was at the shelter. And when I went I realized, man, I got somebody I can tell everything about myself, and they're not gonna judge me. So consider a counselor. you know Another thing is that counselors, they they learning to cope with the residual emotional pain fears is essential to healing. So counseling will help you learn to cope, you know to cope and to figure yourself out. It'll help you just maneuver your way into what's going on with because sometimes with with victims of abuse, you sometimes you feel guilty. You think that, okay, he's paying rent, he brought me here to America, maybe I should not, I'm the one who is wrong to think he's abusing me, and all that stuff. Counseling will help you figure that out. It'll help you let you know what is right and what is wrong, like, because we don't know. Personally, I didn't know what domestic abuse really is. I knew some, I knew it's hitting me, but I didn't know about the emotional manipulation, financial abuse. I had to learn that through counseling. So try and that's one of the importance of counseling. Okay, so domestic violence counseling can be a crucial factor in emotional recovery from your domestic experience. So, you've already left the shelter, you've already left your abuser. But remember, those words don't go away. They telling you you're fat, telling you you're ugly, telling you you'll amount to nothing, and all those things. They don't go away. You may have left, but those emotions and those feelings are still there. So it is important to seek counseling for that. And another thing is, many people struggle with depression, anxiety, stress, or general emotional distress. Some people even experience PTSD following domestic violence. Did you hear that? Depression. You know, you you blame yourself because of the things the fear he put in you. You develop anxiety, um, stress, and all that. So you really need to think about going to counseling uh, after abuse. Before and after abuse. And if you're not able to go before, then go after. you've left. Many people struggle with depression, anxiety, stress, and general emotional distress. Some people even experience PTSD following domestic violence. I've said that. And then also, counseling services readily available can make people in abusive relationships feel more confident about leaving an abused partner. So, like I said, you're not ready to leave. You still have financial, you have paper going, you have so many things going on, and definitely go for counseling just so that you can gain your confidence, because a lot of the things that's happening to you might be in your mind. The fact that you're feeling ugly, the fact that you're feeling pain, the fact that you're feeling stress, the fact that you're feeling the way you're feeling may just be in your mind. So let a counselor help you sort it out, because an abused woman is literally relying for information from the perpetrator, from the abuse, for the person abusing her. So um, if you go for counseling, they will help you sort that out. You know. So another thing is support can make all the difference whether or not someone leaves an abusive relationship, as well as the outcome once they do. So counseling will help you with support, and a lot of apart from counseling, there's also support through group counseling, outreach services. Let's say you're not ready to leave, or you're not, I mean, and let me tell you, it takes a woman 7 times to leave their partner, to completely leave. Sometimes, they keep leaving or saying they leave, but they never leave, then eventually they leave. So through counseling you'll get support, especially the support groups through the women, the domestic women shelters. They do have support groups. So if you're not me, I didn't really go for one-on-one counseling for so long. I just used to go for Wednesdays, that is 15 years ago, by the way. On Wednesdays, or maybe I think Wednesdays or Thursdays, I used to go for group counseling at the shelter in Dallas area, Arlington, at the Safe Haven. I think they call it Safe Haven. They used to call it the women's shelter. Now they call it a Safe Haven. I used to go at Stanford there in Arlington, Dallas. I used to go there, and it's their office. It's not actually the shelter, but it's their outreach. So I would go there. They used to have like where you just go and you say your problem. So I used to go there and just sit there and listen to women talking about their abuse, talking about what they're going through. And then I used to like it because it used to give me a way out of the house. It used to give me a way to, because they would feed the kids. They had put the kids in some programs during summer. They would go for summer camps. So the outreach services, if you are not ready to leave because and you're being abused, you can ask for outreach services. Okay. So you ask them, do you guys have support groups? I think because of COVID now, there may not be support service, group services, but they may do it on stream. What do you call it, on Zoom? Who knows? But you can find out, but once COVID is done, just remember the support services. So it will make you have support. Counseling will make you have support, whereby you have somebody, because a counselor can give you some resources, can tell you where to get help, lawyers and all that. They can actually kind of direct you for that. Okay. So another thing, one of the other benefits of domestic counseling is that it minimizes, okay, the negative beliefs held by the survivor. So you've been all this for 5 years, or 2 years, or 5 months. You've been told you're ugly. You've been told you will never get your papa. You're told that you will be caught. You're told that you will be. So if you start going for counseling, you start realizing, maybe these things are not true. So check on that. Also, Another thing is because domestic violence can take several forms. Therapy can help a survivor learn which abuse patterns exist um, in the relationship, and um, in the relationship and may even uncover how those abuse patterns serve to keep them in the relationship. Okay? So, what does that mean? Because domestic violence can take several forms, therapy can help survivor learn which, yeah. So you've been, you know, abused. You've been in very many. You've been in two marriages, and each time you're still following the same kind of people, same thing. So it helps you see the patterns, you know, and whatever their feelings, group or individual domestic. So another thing is a domestic abuse survivor may have feelings of anger, okay, and they do. You do, you know. So they may have resentment, they may have fear, they may have guilt, they may have even sadness, you know, and the state of their in over the state of their relationship. Because of that, you know, whatever their feelings, group or individual domestic violence therapy will enable them to normalize their feelings. So I remember when I went to the shelter. I didn't have my papers were still being in the process, and actually they hadn't started. They started once I went to the shelter, and the thing was, I had developed fear. I was very scared. If I saw a policeman, I got scared. If I saw any, if I mean, there were things that of course, people were advising me, don't even try this, don't even ask for help. You know, the police might catch you and take you to jail and all those things. A counselor will help you realize whether your fears are really even like correct. So it is important to go for counseling, because that way you're able to see if those fears are even correct or if people are even telling you the truth. So another thing is group domestic. Let me, my nose again is itching me. Give me 1 second. Sorry. um Group domestic violence counseling can be an enormous help to survivors. Okay, essential is especially if the group is filled with survivors in different stages of their exit. So like the group I was going years ago, not 15, I think it's more than that. Years ago, I helped, I met people who are already healing, and to see how they had grown, to see how they had beaten, to see how they were just like me, and I was in the beginning stages, that kind of helped me. So counseling will help you figure that out. I know a lady who they never, I know many ladies who have referred, who their intention was to leave their husbands, but they never left their husband. They stayed. And how did they stay and how happy are they? They went for counseling, they gained confidence, and they're living happy. They're able to say no when they mean no. They're able to stand their grounds, and the husband is respecting them now. And you know, they said they were able to speak out what they want in the marriage, and that has worked for them. So now, build another thing is that building on the network of support. The last and the best benefit of domestic violence counseling is that survivors will be able to develop safety plan for leaving the relationship. Yes, um, if if you're going to leave your if you're going to leave your husband, if that's what is going to happen, well, it helps you develop a safety plan. A lot of women who intend to leave, they don't know, because leaving is not planned. Sometimes, most of the time it's not. You want to stay, but you end up in an altercation and you end up in jail, so you're forced to stay away. Or you want to stay and you thought you can stay, you don't want to leave your husband, but he decides to kick you out. So you even though you want, your intention is good, you want to stay, my thing is this: find a safety plan, because you have no control of what he's capable of doing. You have no control of what he's going to do. You have no control of whether he's going to, if he keeps threatening. And I know a woman who was telling me, my husband won't, I don't think he can go that far. 2 days later, she calls me and told me, oh, I'm at my cousin's place. I said, why? I say, oh, he came and he was violent and I ended up, of course, she had left. She didn't have her driver's license. She didn't have nothing. She hadn't prepared. So even though if you think you're in an abusive relationship, ujipange. That means plan. Do not be, um, what's the right word to say? Stupid. I didn't want to say that word, but do not be not smart. Jipange, because you have no control of another human being. You have no control of what they're capable of doing. You don't know if they're going to kick you out tomorrow. So plan, okay? And then building. So domestic violence helps you build on the network of support. You know, most of the friends that I had at work, of course, I did have relatives, but I wasn't ready to put. They'd already seen me so much, and this happens to a lot of us immigrants, Kenyans and all that stuff. People know you guys fight all the time. People have tried to separate you. People have tried to help you. They're tired, okay? So who do you turn to who will never be tired of you? Get help through counseling, through the shelter. They know, they will understand that going on back forth. Most women won't. I have women who've told me, hey, Lillian, I can't help this lady. She's already been, I've already tried to help her 20 times. We are human beings. We get tired. But guess who's not going to be tired? Because they understand how domestic violence is and how hard it is to leave a domestic abuse situation. The shelter people and the women, and by the shelter, it doesn't mean you have to go there and stay, but the shelter is whereby the women centers, let me put it, women's center will be able to help you. If I keep saying shelter, most people think they have to go to the shelter. So I've developed most of my friends in the shelter, and a lot of the friends, I still have them until now. I went to the shelter about 16 or 15 years ago, and our children have grown together. I mean, we don't see each other. We live far away from each other. We don't even talk to each other that much. But I developed during that time. They were my friends. We were very close. I had somebody to talk about the experiences in the shelter. I had somebody to talk about experiences of abuse. I developed new friends. Having family around doesn't mean you have support. A lot of us, you can have family around, but you're lonely. You can have family around, but you don't want to tell them all those things. So it'll give you support, and you'll develop a safety plan. That means you develop a way out, just in case something happens. Okay, so it is, domestic abuse is also a wit and counseling is also a witness. Remember, you're going through domestic abuse, you're in the house by yourself. Okay, you are in the house by yourself. Nobody is there to help you, and you don't you're isolated, you're kicked out. You want to file for VAWA, which is Violence Against Women's Act, which helps immigrants to self-petition for green card themselves instead of using their husband. So how are you going to do that when you have nothing that proves that you've been abused? You've not been beaten, so you've not called the police. A counselor will talk to you and figure out if you're being abused or not. They'll figure out the emotions. They'll figure out everything. So counseling can be your witness. That's what I'm saying. Now, group counseling can also be beneficial. Attending a group session can allow survivors to connect with others who have been through similar situations. Okay. Now, counseling sessions provide a safe and confidential. Now, that's the word, confidential. Okay. Counseling session. That's why I keep the people I talk to, I keep their information very private because what do you mean? Because I've learned that in the shelter. I know how important it was for me, not for them, nobody to talk about my problems. So remember, domestic abuse victims, even survivors, they don't want people knowing the details. They don't want to talk about it. They want to do this, deal with this alone. So the counseling sessions, they're private. Even if you don't have makara, even if you don't have your green card, you're in the process. Going through counseling, they're not gonna report you. You know, a lot of people think, oh man, they're gonna no 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 no. Going for counseling, that's not gonna happen. Okay, so you're able to provide. It provides a safe and confidential environment for survivors to express their feelings, thoughts, and fears. Okay, now people. So another thing, how can you find help for uh, free counseling? And by free, I mean they'll go by your income. If you have insurance, you know, if you have money and your insurance, yeah, you can go through counseling. And another thing I wanted to put out there, you do not need your husband to go for counseling. I advise women that you can go for counseling with your husband, but most men don't like it. Find counseling for yourself. Find help for yourself. Find help so that you can at least survive, because at least you can go through what you're going through and survive. Find counseling for you to grow, you know, and in the process of growing, you'll be able to figure out whether you want to stay or you want to leave. Because sometimes, like I say, not everybody leaves their husband. Sometimes, and most people believe that I have to have my husband go for counseling. There's marriage counseling, but you can't force it. If somebody doesn't want to go for counseling, doesn't want to change, you force them in there, they can go there and listen and sit there and listen. But guess what? They ain't going to change if they don't want to change. So, but you can change. Change for you. Change so that you know not to take that abuse. Change so that you can be able to say no when somebody hurts you. I went for counseling the my first marriage. The second marriage, because I had gone for counseling, I was able to say no to the second marriage very quick. And most people may judge me and say, how could you stay in a marriage? I had everything in my marriage. I had there was a big I lived in a big house, like 5-bedroom house in Arizona. I had SUVs, beautiful car. But because I had known by now that I cannot take emotional abuse, it was only emotional, it wasn't physical. Because I had learned my lesson, I knew to leave early. I wasn't going to do 6 years like I did in the first one. I was only going to do 3 months. And I did it. And do not let anybody tell you anyhow. I've had people criticize me for doing that, but I knew better. Because of counseling, I knew not to put myself through that again. So counseling will help you do that. So people can find domestic violence counseling therapy. This is now where you can, by calling their your local women's shelter. Did you hear that? Look for the 1-800 number, 1-800-787-3, no, 1-800-799-7233. It's a national, or 411, I think, on your phone. 411 is a number you can call and find resources. But find the number for domestic violence number, and I wish I had put it on the this scrolling number, you know. So scrolling things so that people can see that, but it's 1-800-799-7233. And you can find, if you call any local shelter, just if you're New Jersey, Texas, whatever, just say local women's shelter and call them. It's normally called a hotline, so don't worry, it's not hot. I'm kidding. It's for emergency. It says 24-hour hotline, and they might ask you a lot of questions when you call that number. They might start asking you, does he have a gun? Does he have this? It's okay if you can answer the question. Say, I don't know. Did he hit you? No, he didn't hit me, but he makes me feel. Say exactly how what he does, and then through that, then they will arrange. Do not expect help immediately when you call those hotlines. Do not expect them to say, oh, here, we're going to give you counseling, we're going to give you housing, we're going to give this. Do not expect that. They don't do that. You have to go through a process. Give them time to go through that process, and they can just tell them, if you don't want to leave immediately, if you don't need a shelter immediately, if you need to leave, then leave. But if you don't need a shelter immediately, just tell them you need to develop an escape plan or an exit plan, and they can help you do that, or ask for counseling, or ask for group counseling. Whatever you need, they will help you. So call your local women's shelter by visiting. Here in Waco, the shelter, of course, is a family abuse, and since I live in Waco, I'm going to give that number. Let me see. Family Abuse Center in Waco. So, Family Abuse Center number is 1-800. The one for Waco is 283-8401. Okay? So, that is the family abuse number. And also, so you can find therapy by calling your local women's shelter, by visiting community health center. Oh yeah, if you go to the doctor, like here in Waco, if you go to the doctor, they can ask you if you're safe. If you're not safe, say you're not safe, and they can try and find you resource. They're not going to go and catch you and tell the guy or take him to jail. These things are confidential, and I'm telling you guys, for real, these things are confidential. Find help. Okay. Now, by visiting a community mental health center, you can also go to to the mental. It doesn't mean you're mental. That's a fear that people have. That mental health is something that most people think, oh, I'm not mentally. You're depressed and all that stuff. Just you can get help from there. You can call them by calling their county psychological association or local United Way. So your local United Way, they will direct you on who to call. These organizations will have domestic violence help resources to share with you, including phone numbers for nearby counselors and therapists specializing in domestic violence. The thing is, make sure you are make sure that you are talking to somebody who is specialized in domestic violence, especially if you plan to file for VAWA. So what else did I want to say? I think I had something else. So the benefits of alternative counseling options. Okay, helps with transport and location problems. Did you hear that? If you don't have a way to therapy, or in any area where domestic abuse counselors are too far away, online options are a great solution. It can help those who are shy or have difficult communicating. Do you hear that? So maybe you're nervous about talking to someone about your problems at home, or think you won't be able to express what you want to say. An online platform will ease this and help you open up to your therapist. So you hear that? Excuse me. So domestic violence counseling happens around your schedule. So some survivors only have time to attend sessions during days, hours when traditional clinics are open. With an online option, you're able to set your schedule. You guys hear that? Your sessions will be confidential. Remember the key word is confidential. One of the worries of abuse victims seeking counseling is that someone they know might see them going or leaving an appointment. I know I was. Okay. With the Better Help, there's also something called Better Help. I think here, Better Help National Hotline. This is the Better Help. Yeah. So your sessions will be confidential. So remember that there are lots of options. So live chat, there's phone, there's video sessions are all available, as well as exchanging messages on the platform. Similar to email, if you choose seek online domestic counseling, you will have many different ways of connecting with your counselor. So remember, regardless of the route you choose, okay, you should be proud of yourself for finding the strength to control, to take control of your life and to seek help. You need to create the life you dream of. You hear me? I did. I've created a life I dream of. It took me years, but I did. Happily married. I love my husband. He loves me, understands everything I've been through, understands everything that I'm going through. So it's not gonna be I can't say it's gonna be a smooth road. It's never been a smooth road for me. I've had my ups and downs, but I have the confidence. I have the confidence to say no to people who are trying to control me. In the meantime, resources like the National Domestic Helplines are available for online chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, national, just type on Google. So, you guys, that's it for today. I wanted to do this again. I did it, but the video was a little dark, and I wanted you guys, and this is you guys to, I want to make sure I this video is also on my YouTube. So if you know somebody who's not on Facebook, you can look for my YouTube. I think it's called Adipa Adipa Speak Up. So speak up, okay? Not speaking up is like giving the ammunition to the perpetrator. So speak up. Help somebody out today. That's what we're doing. Thank you guys. Let me see if I can do Tembea na Yesu again. Walk with Jesus. That's what this song means, okay? Hmm. Let's finish up with this song. Amen. Walk with Jesus. And most of all, pray. Please pray. Remember, even if you don't go to church, if you're not able to go to church, God listens to you. Okay? God will hear you at whatever level you're at. Pray, pray, pray. Thank you. Bye, guys.